Today on the Modern Motherhood Podcast from AllMomDoes, I'm your host, Julie Lyles Carr, and this is a guy that, you know, if you get to spend any time around him, either in his books or in some of his teachings or even in a phone conversation, because he is the guy who put his phone number in the back of his books. Hey, you're going to be blessed and inspired, and you're going to have a great time because he's just one of those people in this world who always can make you smile. Today, we have author, humanitarian, and just generally in a good mood guy, Bob Goff. Well, you are amazing, and you are absolutely living the message of your new book. So tell me about this new book.
Yeah, well, the next book is called Everybody Always, and for the people that had read Love Does, that I would say Love Does is like, let's go get a puppy, and Everybody Always is, let's go raise the puppy. So it's actually probably a little bit more challenging. It's all about how do you love people who creep you out.
Interesting.
It's easy to love people that you get along with and that are real nice, but it's the people that are actually difficult to deal with that will give you a report card on where you're at in your faith.
My content coordinator and I were laughing because, you know, your newest book is sitting right up there in terms of pre-sales, and it's right next to Boundaries, the book Boundaries. And we got so tickled because we were like, is this like the anti-boundary book? You know, so
yeah, that's great. Henry's book?
Yes, Cloud's book. We were just cracking up. It was like, of all the books for that to be next to.
Actually, you know what's beautiful, though, is that would be an apt illustration. Like, you can think of all the people that are your friends, and I can think of quite a few that are very different than me. And so I'm not trying to surround myself with people that are the same. I'm not trying to surround myself with people that are really difficult either. I'm just trying to be really present wherever I am, and you're going to find difficult people. What I spent most of my life doing is avoiding these people that are difficult. And I noticed that Jesus spent all of his time engaging the people that were difficult. So I thought, well, this is great. So what if I write a book? I'm 5 years late, but I really didn't have anything to say until I saw just this quarter of a twist in the culture. Everybody was just so much on edge. Have you noticed that?
I have, and trying to figure out the right ways for people to be in touch, and then yet we have situations where people seem to take advantage of that. So tell me about the wisdom of walking like Jesus in dealing with difficult people, and yet how do we do that in a culture that's becoming kind of paranoid?
Yeah, I guess what we need to do is not avoid each other, but we also don't need to raise our voices with one another. And I'm a trial lawyer. I win cases for a living. I just actually win arguments. But I'm not trying to be Jesus' lawyer anymore, and I think that's an important change in my life. I think he's not in the crib anymore. If you read Revelations, he's got this thing figured out. But what he wants is some humble people who will just enjoy the people that are actually kind of hard to be around. And so I've been working on it. I'm actually going to go visit one today. I won't say who it is, but yeah. So like, instead of avoiding them, which would have been old Bob, like new Bob is to say, wow, let me learn some stuff. But I'm not going to learn this by raising my voice. The only time I raise my voice is when I'm yodeling, and I've never yodeled. So just being kind. And then if you see the cover of this book, it looks like there's a bunch of balloons, kind of like a throwback to Love Does. But I have a witch doctor school in northern Uganda. Isn't that creepy?
Wow.
I have 250 witch doctors that are just the creepiest people I've ever met in my whole life. They're involved in all kinds of bad stuff. And a couple of years ago, I just decided, man, I'm going to start engaging these people instead of waving a bony finger at them and telling them they're bad guys. I want to engage them and get to know their names. And so we've graduated hundreds already. And I flew down there when it was time to get a cover for the book. And I asked them if I could use their fingerprints and make the cover out of their fingerprints. Isn't that awesome?
That's beautiful. That's incredible.
Not balloons. Yeah.
I'm hoping that you're going to be ushering in a new season, because it has been a season of such vitriol and such fighting and, you know, social media posts that are so nasty on the part of whoever stands anywhere, whether you consider yourself, you know, a political liberal or conservative or whatever. I've been real fascinated by this story between Jimmy Kimmel and Sean Hannity. Have you been following this? Have you seen this?
Not really, but I'm gathering from what you're saying that they're at each other a little bit. I know what I do. I'll do a tweet each morning. I haven't had a quiet time in 20 years. Mine are super loud. And so what I'll do is I'll take everything I thought of the day before and I'll just spend some time reflecting. I'll go to all the source documents that I rely on to steer my entire life. And I'll say, I know that sounded right, but is it actually true? And if I know it's true, then I'm not going to put a Bible verse on it. I'll just make a tweet, and that'll be the tweet in the morning. Because I'm not interested in talking the big religious guy into Jesus. I want the guy at the tire store to know he's just accepted and welcomed and loved and that there's a place for everybody. So every once in a while, it only happens a couple times a year, but there'll be a second-year seminary student that'll say something kind of angsty on one of my tweets. And so what I'll do is I go into his or her feed, and I'll try to learn one thing from them. I actually kind of make them my teacher. I'll learn a new word, a new worldview, just something, because they're obviously different than me and a little on edge. And then as soon as I've learned one thing from them, then I block them. It's like a going-away party. You just don't need to swing at every pitch anymore. It's all good. Yeah, just don't worry about it.
I love that.
If we could know why we're doing what we're doing, I think we'd be in great shape. Most people don't know why they do what they do. They're just ricocheting off each other. That makes great pinball games, but it makes for a lousy life.
Yeah. Well, and I'm fascinated in this Hannity-Kimmel thing because they were going at each other, like you were saying. I mean, that we were seeing that a lot. And all of a sudden, Jimmy Kimmel has decided to apologize to Hannity. Hannity's accepted. Hannity's kind of owning his part. They're saying they're going to start dialoguing. And for our listeners who don't know who these two players are, these are two different guys in news and entertainment talk shows, and they stand in very different positions on some different issues. I'm a little encouraged, Bob. I got to say, I'm a little encouraged if we can start dialoguing instead of diatribing. What might change in our culture?
Yeah, one of the things that happens is we spend a lot of time trying to be like each other, and you'll never end up being like Jesus if you're trying to be like each other. So the whole idea is to figure out who you want to become, and then just take these little baby steps in that direction. To say, and oftentimes the baby step that you take isn't with somebody, like you'd be pretty easy to get along with, but find somebody who's difficult and then just ask them something about what they're hoping for, with no judgment. And then not loving people with an agenda, because as soon as love has an agenda, it isn't love anymore.
Right.
So with zero agenda other than just being present and learning, know why you believe what you believe, and then just go engage everybody. And there's something that's actually beautiful. I've turned these people that I didn't have that much in common with, and honestly still don't, but I've turned them into my teachers. I'm trying to teach myself to become a little bit more humble. I'm trying to learn some lessons from them and their worldview and their life view, but I don't need to adopt them all. But I can engage all of those things. And so it's just been great. And if you do that, you'll be constantly misunderstood. Getting misunderstood, that's just Tuesday for me. I'm not aiming for it. It'll find you.
We'll be right back with Bob Goff with this such a fun conversation about humanity and current events and loving people well. But first, I want to make sure you're getting connected in community. And one of the ways to do that is through MOPS. For over 40 years, MOPS has been inviting women into community through the commonality of motherhood, building friendships, and earning the opportunity to share Jesus with them, maybe for the first time. MOPS believes that all moms are world influencers and exists to encourage and equip all moms everywhere to live their best lives. Check out mops.org to find a local gathering in your neighborhood. Why do you think we have so much fear of people that seem unfamiliar to us, whose positions or thoughts or approaches seem unfamiliar to us?
Oh, it's because we're all amateurs. It's amateur night. It's like I've never seen anybody that goes pro at loving people. Could you imagine they have a leather, bodysuit, and they're sponsored by Target and Pennzoil and all that because they're pro at loving people. I think we're all amateurs and we're trying to figure it out. But one thing that I've found is that grace is this beautiful antidote to just realize when you live with a grateful heart for what's happened in your life, then you can be a little bit more generous about your opinions with other people. And I was actually just talking to some friends yesterday about generosity. This whole idea of generosity, that's where like genealogies came from. It used to be people of noble birth. Those were the generous ones.
Right.
And then they said 100 years later, it became people that were actually noble in what they did were the generous ones. And then it changed 100 years later to people that stretched out their hand. Those were the generous ones. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
And so I think of all the stories that have impacted me about even Jesus telling a guy to just reach out your hand. He could have fixed it while it was in his pocket. There's something about reaching out your hand to one another that it's like he made the first move. Now we need to make the second move, and it's towards people. So, and it isn't just this hallmark yippee skippy kind of thing, but you just know why you're doing what you're doing.
Right.
And I'm just going to try to be more generous in my opinions about people, a little bit more generous about the assumptions that I make about it. Because yesterday there was a wedding planner somewhere, and she was praying for rain or for sunshine, and the farmer was praying for rain.
Right, right.
So, just know that there's different things that people have going on that are important to them. And it doesn't make you passive. It actually makes you a participant. Like, get with the program. You start seeing the plot that's unfolding in everybody's life.
How do we do an agenda-ectomy? I mean, because sometimes I think even my agenda, sometimes it's even a little hidden from myself. I don't even realize, that I'm approaching somebody with a little hidden agenda. And some of our agendas are more obvious. How do we do that? How do we do that self-check for an agenda and get it out of that conversation when we're trying to love someone well?
Maybe it starts with figuring out what your own insecurities are. Because we're all insecure. We're just insecure and we reflect that differently, right? So some people are insecure and they say mean things to people, and other people are insecure and don't say anything to anybody. And other people are insecure, so they jump out of hot air balloons and or they run for political office, or whatever it is. So if you could figure out how you're wired and what it is that is making you do the things that you do. So, for instance, I'm not going to engage in arguments with people. It's not because I don't know how to win them, because I've never lost one. I win them for a living. But I'm trying to figure out, where does that come from, where I need to feel right? I had a stupid webpage when I started Love Does. We wrote this first book, Love Does. We just gave all the money away. They sold millions of them. And so we just go around the world starting schools. And so one of the things that I did foolishly was I had this webpage that said, like, serving the poorest of the poor. They just felt like I was stepping over poor people. Like, get out of here, you poser. I want the poorest of the poor, as if that's more noble. And I realized, that's just me being insecure. I'm trying to get validation from other people about what a swell guy I am. What if I just, like my worldview, what if I could just believe that God thinks that I'm created in His image, and that would be enough, and that I don't have to engage in all the puffery and all the like bellicose and all that. It's just chill out. Have you seen people that are driving down the highway and they're all hunched over their steering wheel like they're just terrified?
Yeah.
They're just driving scared, and that's just like makes for bad drivers. And then you'll see somebody else from the 50s, they got one of those necker snobs, and they're just like kind of sit back at the seat. I think we need to just chill out a little bit, not be so hunched over the steering wheel in all of our conversations and ricocheting off people when somebody does something because they're insecure. Just be generous and just say, well, what's my next step? I'm just going to be present. And it's so simple, but so hard. Because we got everybody answering their cell phones and checking emails and all that. So to actually be present, Sweet Maria and I have a practice. We throw this softball back and forth while we're talking. And if you answer a cell phone, you'll lose teeth.
Yeah, you will.
So just come up with these beautiful little habits and traditions in your life and the lives of the people around you to say, we just, throw your cell phone in a bucket of water or something, but to just actually be present with one another. So I'm like 100% here with you right now. Like, it's just me and you. We're talking. I'm not thinking about a flight I got to catch. I'm not thinking about anything. I'm like 100% here. And it's because I've carved this new groove in my brain. And I'm trying to not just have that little tiny groove. I'm trying to turn it into the Grand Canyon.
I love that.
If you want to change your habits, you need to carve some new grooves in your brain. My friends just tell me, the person that schedules everything, they only tell me what I'm doing today, tomorrow, and the next day. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
So literally, I know I'm in Afghanistan. We're actually starting our next school there next month. What could possibly go wrong?
Nothing.
I don't know exactly when that is, but I know that will happen. And so I'm just present with you right now, and I haven't even looked at what I'm doing tomorrow, but I'll promise you this, I don't know what I'm doing 3 days from now. And it's this discipline. I want to go Grand Canyon on that. I want to be present. And that might be a long way of explaining this idea of how do we get out of these this routine, this loop that we're in of arguments and raising voice. Just be present and be loving with the people that you're with. And then move on to the next one.
I think that is amazing. And I think part of my challenge sometimes in being present, particularly with people that I feel are a challenge, are difficult, is I kind of get into difficult person fatigue. To me, that's like a real syndrome. Like somebody I'm trying to love well, but they're just wearing me out. Yeah. So how do we overcome that?
DPF, I got it.
Okay, yes. We've got a new acronym. I love it. So how do we prep for that? What do we do for those kind of fatigue moments that can come? Because even Jesus got tired, even around some of the challenging people he was dealing with.
Yeah, so we paddled across the lake, and 15 minutes later, everybody showed up. So I've read that one too.
Yeah.
So what I try to do is surround myself with people that are really safe. They're like Switzerland. Nobody's mad at them. They're not mad at anybody. So find some people that are safe to surround yourself with. So, on your last day here on Earth, you're going to have room for 8 people around your bed, 9 if they're thin. And so I figured out who were my 8 people that I want around my bed on my last day here. And what I'm trying to do is surround my life with them right now. And that's been really beautiful. I've sent each of them a text message. I said, you're one of the 8. They're like, what's that mean? I'm like, don't worry about it. And the crazy part is, your 8 are going to change, and my 8 are going to change. And you don't have to send another text message and say, you're off the island. Just like that idea, find your 8, surround yourself with them, because they're going to surround you someday. And then, having surrounded, don't stay there. Don't stay surrounded. We're not like these fortresses. We want to, just then engage the world and engage difficult people without agenda. We have this thing we say, Sweet Maria and I, in our marriage, it's 100% kindness and 0% drama.
Yeah.
What makes for a great TV show will make for a lousy marriage. And so, but if you engage people with kindness and not a bunch of drama, you don't have to get all hurt and make a big deal about it, and who knows that you're hurt about whatever. To just figure out, where did that go? Just get real with that hurt, and then move on with it. Get on with it. If you need to talk to some more people, find your 8.
I love the idea of the 8. Part of the reason I love the idea of the 8 is I have 8 children. So I feel like I made my own.
Yeah, totally. How cool is that? Make your own 8.
Make your own 8. We got another program we can put people into.
One of them once, didn't I? We were somewhere.
Maybe so.
I think it was a daughter.
Maybe in Austin. Yeah. And it's really cool, that idea of the 8, because I think sometimes we try to find validation in how many buddies and friends and how big our network is. And I think it's important to be very inclusive of people and to have a lot of people in your world. But I think sometimes we confuse those who are supposed to be the most intimate to us with a huge following. So how do we kind of navigate in a world now where I can pop on social media and see who likes, my post or my whatever? How do I distinguish between those who are supposed to be my 8 and those that I'm just supposed to be loving well and serving well?
Well, I would say the first thing that popped to mind when you said that is, if you take away what you're known for, whatever's left is who you are.
Ooh, so say that again. Say that again.
Take away the whole lawyer thing. Whatever's left is who you are.
Wow.
And then I wrote a book and put some balloons on it. It'd be like, take away Balloon Boy, whatever's left is who you are. So I'm just constantly doing that for myself, to say, right now I visit with people, but take that away. You know what? My big ambition? I just want to be a grandpa someday. I can't wait Like, I'm one sonogram away. But figure out, take away all the things that you're known for. And then to say, it's like this beautiful start over. It's just like you get to begin again and to say, who is the next version of you? So I'm 59 now. So I spend a lot of time talking to like the 79-year-old Bob and the 69-year-old Bob, the one that's a little bit more poised and has been a little bit more life experience. If you're 21, talk to the 31-year-old version of you. I think that would get us a little bit more settled down, because that you're not in the immediate moment. You're not ricocheting off of everybody. And that 31-year-old person, that one that is 10 years older than you, will be a great guide to get you to those 8. They'll say, who are the people you actually want to do life with? Because your 8 won't care at all what you do. They could care less that you talk to people over the phone and write books, and they just love you for who you are.
That's beautiful. Now, you have kept the satellite dish of your heart and your soul wide open. You have a lot of people in touch with you who want your ear, who want your wisdom. What is a resounding heartbeat you're finding right now throughout the wealth of humanity, who is your research group? What do you find is the heartbeat of what people are longing for today?
Oh, people just want availability. Like that idea that people don't follow vision, they follow availability. So everybody's got an opinion. They're like toilet seats. But not everybody's available. And so that's why in the back of both of these books, I just put my cell phone number. I get 100 calls a day. I can't get a thing done. But that's it. I don't make appointments with people. Why? Because you don't make appointments with friends. And I just assume friendship. And so that idea of just constant, excessive availability. Now, if that's going to wreck your life, don't do it. Figure out who God wired you to be, and then go live into the most authentic, genuine version of that. I think that's all of us want. It's love and purpose and connection and a couple authentic relationships. So if you zero in on that, if that's your shopping list every day, I want love, purpose, connection, and a couple authentic relationships, then you'll go find them. You want to know something interesting, and then I need to scoot.
Yeah.
If you grab one handful of sand is 400,000 grains of sand. Wikipedia wouldn't lie to me. But a little bit more or less, depending on the size of your hand. And if you meet 12 people a day and live 92 years, that's what 400,000 looks like. So you meet a handful of people every day and a handful of people over your whole life. I want to just have 12 meaningful conversations each day. That'll get us where we want to go. So this counts as one. And I've had several more today, but I'm not at 12, but I will be before the end of the day. And I was yesterday, and I will be tomorrow. So to go a little bit deeper, talk a little bit more, consider the things that your friends are saying. Take lots of notes. I've taken notes on what you've said already, and I'm going to think about that on the airplane. And I'm going to try to sort out for myself if there's something more I can learn from that.
Well, we thank you for having a conversation with us today. It's just been a delight. And hey, I can verify you call this guy's number and he picks up the phone. So it's awesome.
It's 3 in the morning. You're on your own.
Okay. So noted. A big thank you to Bob Goff for taking the time to talk with us about his new book, Everybody Always. Be sure and check it out. And you can find Bob on all the socials at Bob Goff. That's Goff, and bobgoff.com. So be sure and check him out there and connect. I'd love to connect with you also at all the socials and my website at julielylescarr.com. And be sure you're also checking out AllMomDoes, the blog on the socials, the different community opportunities that we have for you to get connected. AllMomDoes is a fantastic place for you to be able to do that. A big shout out to Donna Tody, she's our producer, and to Rebecca Beckett, our content coordinator. They are behind the scenes working so hard to make all of this come together every week for you. And we're just so thankful to have a team like the two of them. Coming up next week, I am really delighted to get to introduce you to someone who has become a very dear friend, and many of you are already going to know her name. Her name is Jennifer Fulweiler, and she has an incredible journey of going from being a very devout atheist to becoming a Christian, and from going from, maybe not even wanting any kids to having 6. And she has a really beautiful and vibrant career that she has crafted to work with all those details. We'll be talking with her next week, and you don't want to miss it on the Modern Motherhood Podcast.